Hello everyone and welcome back to the latest edition in the Terrace Podcast's long-running series at this point on the laws of the game. My name's Craig Anderson. I'm joined as always by Ewan Taylor.
Hello Craig.
And today we are looking at, having done the big one, which was fouls and misconduct and kind of what a foul is. Now we're on to Law 13, which is about free kicks. But it's not about what a free kick is. We talked about that in Law 12, but it's basically the actual procedure of taking a free kick. What do you know about the procedure of taking a free kick, Ewan?
I know what probably some of the myths are. Like you should be 10 yards away. All opposition should be 10 yards away. You're allowed to kick the ball once before you. So I suppose you start dribbling with it. Indirect free kicks are fun and aren't given often enough, in my opinion. That's pretty much some knowledge about free kicks.
It's like one of these other ones. It's like you don't ever, no one will ever tell you the rules for this. You just kind of watch football and let them know. But right, so we'll start with the types of free kick, which is where it starts off. There are direct and indirect free kicks, which are awarded to the opposing team of a player substituted or sent off player or team official guilty of an offence. So basically, if one team commits an offence and it's an associated person from that team, the other team will get some form of free kick. And we talked about the differences between indirect and direct free kick offences the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So then it talks about the indirect free kick signal. So you hopefully know how a referee indicates an indirect free kick. Just by raising, for those watching the video, raising his arm while the free kick is being taken. And this it can be interesting if you're at a game. It's sometimes worth watching out for in terms of if you're not sure if a referee's like giving offside. That's the most common time I can see, because a free kick for offside will be indirect. And a good way of kind of working out has offside been given is if the hand's in there. The notable example for this was the Scott McTominay disallowed goal in Spain, which seems to be coming up in this series. But obviously on the live broadcast, it showed you, like, it claimed that there was a foul that had been awarded, but then there was footage came out a lot later, which confirmed what I thought had been the case, which was unfortunately the correct decision, which was that Jack Hendry was offside. And the reason you knew that was the case is because the referee had his arm up in the air for an indirect free kick when it was being taken, whereas if it had been a foul, then it would have been a direct free kick. And the signal is supposed to be maintained until the ball touches another player. So the ref keeps his arm up until basically someone else touches it. And at that point, obviously, the reason for that being until it touches another player, it can't be a valid goal. So it's kind of a signal to the opposing defence and goalkeeper as well, that if this ball goes in the net, it's not going to be a goal. So they're meant to keep that up. It says, or it's clear that a goal cannot be scored directly. So if the ball is clearly not going towards the goal, they can also take it down. Like if someone plays a 5-yard pass to the side, he doesn't have to wait until someone else touches it. An indirect free kick should be retaken if the referee fails to signal that it's indirect and the ball goes in. So if the referee accidentally forgets to signal for an indirect free kick, and the attacker slings it into the net, obviously the goal can't stand because it shouldn't have been a direct free kick, but also the attacker shouldn't be disadvantaged by the referee making the mistake, is basically the point of that. None of this really that interesting, but we want to cover it anyway. And then what happens if the ball goes in from an indirect free kick, or various different types of free kicks? So I can just quiz you on this as we go. It's on the screen and you'll see it anyway, but just pretend you can't. If a direct free kick goes straight into the net, what happens?
It's a goal.
Yes. If an indirect free kick goes straight into the other team's net, what happens?
It's not a goal.
It's not a goal. What is it?
Goal kick.
A goal kick. Yeah, I think I always think that for an indirect free kick, and the same is true of some other restarts like throw-ins, you just pretend the goals aren't there and it's just gone over the line for a goal kick. And if either a direct or indirect free kick is kicked into your own goal, what happens?
Following that logic, it would be a corner to the other team.
Yes, so you can't score an own goal from a free kick. I suppose the logic being that you have the free kick because the other team committed an offence. I don't actually think there's really that much justification for it, because if you are stupid enough to kick a free kick into your own net, I pretty much think you should be penalised with a goal. But that is a corner nonetheless.
I desperately would love to see a referee give a corner in that scenario and see the reaction. Because it would be, I would say the whole stadium would be confused as to why that was the case.
I'm imagining with VAR them having to properly try and check, has it skiffed someone's boot?
Yeah.
They obviously had the snickometer at the Euros, but they certainly won't have that in the William Hill Premiership. So that one would be interesting. I think that kind of has it made contact for it to be a goal.
Was that not that wasn't a free kick, but do you remember it was Peter Enkelman?
Yes, Olof Milberg.
That was a throw in, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, and it couldn't go down as a Milberg OG, because if it hadn't touched Enkelman, which I don't know if it does, but the referee thought it did, then it wouldn't have been a goal. But because it came off his stud, it will be a goal. But I can't remember if we've done the throw-in as a law of the game yet. We have not, so we will probably get onto
we'll cover that
then. But
yes,
spoiler. So free kicks, where a free kick's taken from is the first part of the procedure. They are taken from the place where the offence occurred. So where was the foul? That's where the free kick is. That's kind of common sense. In most cases, the offside free kick is the one where that can be a wee bit confusing for people, because a free kick for offside is where the offence occurs, and the offence doesn't occur until the player who was offside touches the ball or gets involved in play. So if you were offside on the edge of the box, but you run back 50 yards to play the ball, it's where you play the ball, not where you were when it was played. That's the only one that's really catches people out a bit with that. The exceptions to that kind of basic rule are an indirect free kick to the attacking team for an offence inside the goal area, which is the 6-yard box. So if there's something happens inside the 6-yard box, it requires an indirect free kick, mostly would be picking up a back pass, then that is taken from the nearest point on the edge of the 6-yard box. So you can't, for example, get an indirect free kick on the line, which, I mean, I suppose makes sense. So it would be at the nearest point to the 6-yard box from where it happened. Free kicks to the defending team in their goal area may be taken anywhere. So if you're the defending team and you are awarded a free kick inside your 6-yard box, you can take that anywhere inside your 6-yard box. It's basically the same sort of place you could take a goal kick from. Again, you see people get a wee bit annoyed about that sometimes. If there's a foul right on the line and the keeper takes a goal kick from the edge of the box, at the edge of the 6-yard box, folk moan, but that's allowed. Anything that involves a player entering, re-entering, or leaving the field of play is taken from where the ball was, not where the player left the field of play. I guess probably so that, and I suppose advantage would be played in this scenario anyway, but if a player couldn't run on the pitch to have so that there's a free kick taken on the on the touchline instead of a good goal scoring chance, I think it's where play was rather than where some unrelated player happens to make their way on or off the park. If a player commits an offence, I think we talked about this before, if they commit an offence off the field of play, then a free kick is taken on the boundary line nearest to where the offence occurred. So if you do something off the field of play, you just draw a straight line to the edge of the pitch, and if that straight line to the edge of the pitch puts you in the penalty box, then it's a penalty. Something you don't see very often, but it will probably happen once every couple of years, and people share a wee video of it, and it'll be confusing for everyone. And there are also there are some occasions where the law designates another position, and it says see laws 3, 11 and 12 for that, but we've already kind of covered it's for potential offside offences, for certain types of foul, and when the player kind of commits a non-footballing offence, if you know what I mean, something to do with their equipment or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, not much on that. What happens to the ball when you take a free kick? It has to be stationary, so you can't kick a moving ball. Again, usually the referee will use a bit of discretion if it's not important, if it's 90 yards from goal, or if there's a blustery wind that literally prevents it and it's moved a wee bit, they probably won't bother, but it shouldn't be moving. the guy who kicks it can't touch it again. That was one of the ones that you came up with right at the start. It can't be dribbled. I actually think I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 10 years or so that's relaxed and players can dribble a free kick. There's not actually really any reason you couldn't. Just in terms of the flow of the game, I think it's allowed in hockey potentially, which I think I always think hockey's quite a similar sport to football in terms of like the structure of the pitch at least, and the ball is in play when it is kicked and it clearly moves. Now there was an incident. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. If it was I feel it was an English lower league game where a guy like went to take a free kick, or there was a guy standing over a free kick, and he like tapped it, but the goalkeeper then like walked out of his goal to come and take the free kick, but the opposing team felt the goalkeeper had the player who'd passed it had been taking the free kick, and so there was a bit of confusion around that. But I think ultimately the referee said no, it hadn't been taken, but. So it can be a little bit of a grey area on that, and it has to be the referee's opinion on those things. But it's not like people say the ball has to go a full revolution or it has to move. That's not true. It just has to move.
So there's the one at the weekend when it was Paquetá at West Ham.
That's it. Sorry, that's the game it was. Sorry, that is exactly. It wasn't lower league.
Was that Palace against West Ham, and
yes, it was. Yeah,
he thought he thought that the player tapping it to the player was about to, and he just like sprinted out like Zaire 1974 fashion and looked really silly because the ball hadn't. I mean, it didn't look like it had moved. But yeah, I suppose it does happen. Didn't help. Obviously, the allegations against Paquetá in terms of trying to get booked on purpose and so on. But yeah, maybe he thought the ball had moved.
Yeah, I think hopefully the referee uses his discretion in that situation as well, and if if he thinks the players genuinely felt the ball was in play, then they shouldn't be given a card. But it kind of depends. That there's a lot of stuff going on there. Until the ball is in play from a free kick, all players have to be at least 10 yards or 9.15 metres if you prefer from the ball, unless you're on your own goal line between the posts. So in the case of an indirect free kick where it's 6 yards from goal, you don't have to be 4 yards behind your own goal line, which would be somewhat unusual. But that is always interesting with those indirect free kicks, because usually what you get is a wall of players and the goalkeeper in front of them. And the goalkeeper, I guess, is technically at that point in front of the other players and not on his line. But again, very difficult to police also at an indirect. Generally, with an indirect free kick inside the box, the referee is just like, I just want to get out of here as soon as possible. I want nothing to do with any of this. Get this thing taken and move on, because it's just like chaotic. And if there is a free kick inside the opponent's penalty area, then you have to be outside the box. So the same as a goal kick, again, until it's taken, until it's kicked and it's in play. And then there's the stuff about a wall now. This is relatively new, but it says that when 3 or more defending players form a wall, all attacking team players must be at least 1 metre from that, or 1 yard from that wall. So if there's a 3-man wall, so there was obviously a spell of like players trying to disrupt the walls, and that's like a flashpoint, and so they thought, right, well, we're not having this. So now when there's a 3-man wall, an attacking player is not supposed to be within a yard of that. Now, with Celtic away to, was it Feyenoord they played in the Champions League last season? Feyenoord scored a free kick right before half-time in that game, and there was a Feyenoord player in the wall, and to me that should have been disallowed for that reason. I mean, it actually made no obvious actual difference to the goal being scored, but nonetheless, I think that was an offence that occurred in the build up to that goal. So that one players don't know about, I think, generally, and I don't think referees do much to enforce it unless it's like really, like, you know, for obviously they're barging about, they can do it, but that is one of the rules. This is quite new as well, and I don't think really used to be the case. A free kick can be taken by lifting the ball with a foot or both feet simultaneously. So you can like flick the ball up, or you can put it between your legs and sort of hoist it up in there. There was a really famous one from like the 70s in England where a guy like put it between his legs, flicked it up behind him, and his teammate volleyed it in. And I can't remember if the goal was given or not, but that is now very formally allowed, as is lifting the ball up. You don't really see it much because it's not really that effective. I don't generally, for a free kick, you're wanting to have less height on the ball. Usually the problem is like ballooning it over the bar. I suppose it helps you with the getting up and over the wall aspect, but it's not something you see. Feinting to take a free kick to confuse opponents is permitted as part of football. So you are allowed to do whatever you like, which is slightly different from a penalty where there are some more restrictions on that. But yeah, run over the ball, do a wee dance. It's very funny when you see these and they fuck it up. Like I remember years ago when I was like just got my season ticket and it was Kelly played, I think, Dundee United, and they had a free kick out wide and they were obviously trying to do something cute, but like and it wasn't one of these like fake out ones. It was like just both players ran over the ball and then they kind of they both thought each other were going to take it. You do see the fake out ones where they both do that, but then while everyone's confused, one of the guys like whips it in. But the whip-in didn't happen. It was clearly not planned.
Do you remember the opposite of that when it was a Man United game where Beckham and Giggs took a free kick at the same time?
Yes.
And they basically both kicked. I mean, possibly one of them didn't touch it, but it looked like both of them had kicked the ball at the same time.
Yes, which, as far as I know, would be allowed as well. I think that's not specifically in the rule, but
yeah,
you go. If a player, while correctly taking a free kick, deliberately kicks the ball at an opponent in order to play the ball again, but not in a careless or reckless manner, the referee allows play to continue. It's a very specific one, but it's basically saying if you are trying to, I guess it's like if you're trying to take a quick free kick and there's an opponent standing over the ball, if you want to like tap it off them and run with it, do so. But you really, I mean, it's quite rare. The example of that is another throw-in example, which I remember, which is it's like a really famous one from Sheffield United, like in the 90s. And I want to say it's like that. It's not Paul. It might have been Paul Pescasolido, and the goalkeeper like runs out to make a slide tackle out in the touchline, and he picks up the ball, and the goalkeeper stands up in front of him, so he takes the throw in like right off the goalkeeper's head. And then it falls to him and he scores. So that kind of quick thinking, that the equivalent of that, but with a quick free kick would be allowed. Is what that's saying. Okay, and offences at a free kick. If, when a free kick is taken, an opponent is closer than the required distance, the free kick is retaken unless advantage can be applied. So if you have not retreated the appropriate 10 yards at a free kick, then it will be retaken unless there's an advantage to the attacking team. But if a player takes that's like a normal free kick where the referee's whistled for it and it's everyone stopped. If a player takes a quick free kick and an opponent who is less than 10 yards from the ball intercepts a quick free kick, not by deliberately being a prick, but just by they have been retreating and it's taken quickly, he can then go and get the ball, and there's not an offence there, and play can continue. So that's your own risk of taking a quick free kick, I suppose. But if you deliberately prevent a quick free kick or any free kick from being taken, then that's a yellow card offence. So I think that this is where it becomes really tricky, because you've got to judge the intent of the defending player, the intent of the attacking player, and it's why, unless in certain circumstances, I think referees are a bit reticent to allow lots of quick free kicks, because it just it causes more trouble than it solves sometimes. But there's some cases where it's really easy, like a guy gets fouled in the middle of the park, he falls down, he stands back up, he puts his hand in the ball and he plays a pass, that's fine. But as soon as there's loads of players around, I think it just becomes a bit of a problem. Right. If there is an attacking player within a yard of the wall, which was the one we spoke about earlier, if that offence is committed, then it's an indirect free kick to the defending team, I suppose. If, when a free kick is taken inside the penalty area, any opponents are inside the penalty area because they didn't have time to leave. So it's different from walking into the penalty area, but if you are just trying to leave the penalty area but you haven't had a chance to get out yet, then play is allowed to continue. And if that player either enters it before the ball's in play, or that player is still leaving it, but they touch or challenge for the ball, then the free kick's retaken. So if you're wandering out of the box and you've not got out in time yet, and the ball gets ballooned off your head, you can't then turn around and score, because you shouldn't have been there in the first place. You're not penalised for being there, but you also can't gain an advantage from being so.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. If the player takes the free kick twice, so if a player kicks the ball again after it's already been kicked, that's an indirect free kick to the opposing team. And if the kicker commits a handball offence, which is unlikely, then a direct free kick is awarded, or a penalty if it's inside the penalty area.
You flick the ball up onto your own hand on purpose.
Yes.
And punch it, then that'd be a penalty.
Well,
yeah.
I was trying to work out as well if that includes like trying to take the free kick with your hand. Like, oh yeah, I suppose I could imagine at like under 12s level when they're just learning, a goalkeeper thinking he could do that. Because he's allowed to handle the ball, which he's not. It wouldn't be a penalty in that case, it would be an indirect free kick. But nonetheless, these things are not.
Yes.
So that was quite brief and not very interesting, but we will go through it anyway. I'll just give you a couple of the questions here. When a free kick is taken, a defending player lies or kneels on the ground behind a wall formed by other defending team players. What is the correct decision?
No decision. That's fine. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. Not an offence. Stupid, but not an offence.
Yeah.
I've yet to really see these guys actually achieve anything, but I suppose maybe they're
prevention, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would just be taking it low anyway and try to get them in the nose. Right. The referee stops play and cautions a player who committed a reckless challenge. The offending player shows dissent from this decision. What action does the referee take? Really doesn't belong here, but we'll ask it anyway.
That would be a second yellow card.
Yeah, and what about the free kick, I suppose? Which is
the free kick would be, well, it would still be a direct free kick, I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't change to an indirect just because it's dissent, does it?
Yeah, that's exactly. I guess that's the point they were trying to make with the question. Right, I think we'll leave it there because that was not a particularly taxing one in terms of. I don't think you learned anything there, Ewan. Really, did you?
No.
Apart from maybe players being able to flick up a free kick.
Yes. That would be. I feel like did Letizia score a free kick? Maybe someone flicked up for him and then he volleyed it over the wall. I think there's one.
That does ring a bell, actually. But usually, like you would see a team more doing that with like 3 players, so it would be like a pass, a flick, and a volley. But the flick is allowed direct. But yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of Law 13, free kicks. We are getting there. There are only 17 laws plus VAR, so we are in the home straight now, Ewan, and we'll thank everyone as usual for listening, and we'll see you again for Law 14.